Hey guys, how's it going? In the last video we made some really good progress. We made some new friends at the Wayward, we were able to get a basic camp set up, hell, we were even able to deal with a group of cultists. But even with all that good progress, we've still got a lot of work ahead of us. So, let's get right into it. Starting off episode 2 of the Fallout 76 solo experience. Before we begin though, there is something else I wanted to clear up as well. At one point I was completely addicted to this game and actually bought Fallout first. So, I've got access to a little bit more than just the average player. If the scrap box and ammo cabinet weren't enough evidence of that, then I'm saying it now. That being said, I'm also playing this in my own private world, away from other players. That's what I meant when I said I was doing this without other players helping me. All the experience, all the caps, all the events will have to be collected and completed solely by me alone. I look forward to the challenge though. So starting off today, my main goal is to make it to Flatwoods, which is a small town that's just a short run away from my camp. Before that though, I have to kill these two. Honestly, I was hoping they'd drop a handmade or combat armor, but they didn't. After dealing with them, I started making my way to Flatwoods and ran into this Mr. Farmhand unit, which is foreshadowing for what's to come, by the way. After disassembling him, I started backtracking and began to make my way to the Morgantown airport, but stopped off at the Overseer's camp to scrap any junk and weapons I don't need. Not long after that, I came across these settlers that were needing some help dealing with the ticks. Anytime I find these settlers or raiders out about like this, I'm gonna help them out for any extra reputation I can squeeze out of them. Not long after that, I made my way into Golly Mine and began looting and shooting everything I could get my hands on. I ended up finding this pump action shotgun on one of the Scorched, and I gotta say, it's pretty nice. Also kinda sad that shotguns kinda suck in this game. I know the Gauss shotgun is good, but the others are a bit lackluster unless you're dealing with simple enemies like Scorched. Maybe a sneak VATS build would do them justice. After finishing up my looting session in the mine, I decided to get back on the road and was greeted with this lovely loading screen. I forget this game does this, but it was nice to see it again. It's a picture I took of another camp that I had built on a previous character. Man, I cannot wait to get a good camp up and running again. Once I'd left the mine, I made my way up the train tracks and ran into yet another familiar face. This guy is known as Gramps. He's an author and asks you to stay in your camp so he can finish his writing, and will occasionally send you on a weapons run. Yes, author and weapons. Seems completely legit. Sadly, I also didn't have the ability to pass the speech check here either, so I'll be heading home alone again. After disappointing Gramps for not knowing who he is, I made my way into this train cart loading area and began clearing out Scorched, to which I then found this pipe auto pistol. I know it's not a huge improvement, but we can at least make use of the damage perks we're going to be using now. I ended up finding a weapons workbench close by and began modding this pistol I just found into a proper rifle. A little after that, I finally made my way over to the Morgantown train station and was able to get a look at the vendor inventory. I didn't really find anything useful in it, not that I could even afford anything in it anyway. Once I was done looking at the vendor's inventory, I decided I wanted to head back home and drop off my stuff. So after placing my survival tent for easy travel back and forth, I fast traveled home. Dropped off some of my ammo that I wasn't using, killed these two again, and made my way over to Flatwoods. Yes, I know, I make a lot of sense jumping back and forth like this, but please, just trust the process. Flatwoods is an interesting area to us because it does two things. A, if we were new players, the quests we are doing now would show us how to boil water and cook food so that we don't starve out here. And B, once completing these quests, it gives us the plans to craft a chemistry bench, which I don't use all that often myself, and a tinker's workbench, which most would consider a necessary tool for any 76 player, as it gives us the ability to finally craft our own ammunition. Which is great, because the late game is going to bring out a lot of beefy enemies, and we're going to need all the ammo we can get. The quests are pretty simple and are as easy as go here and do this, now go here and do that. About as easy as a quest could possibly get, really. Once I was done with those, the game wanted me to get into contact with the Responders HQ, and so I did, and it pointed me in the direction of the Morgantown airport. Remember when I told you to trust me? After finishing up in Flatwoods, I made my way back home and dropped off my scrap and set down my new Tinker's workbench and chem station. It ain't much, but it's honest work. I left camp and fast traveled back to my survival tent. We leveled up back in Flatwoods, so I decided to take advantage of that and put a point into perception and grab another commando perk card, raising my damage another 10% with auto rifles. While I was doing this though, a Scorched had spotted me and began attacking me while I was still in my menu. I dealt with him and his buddies pretty swiftly. I made my way inside the airport and had to take out the Scorched in there as well. And to be completely honest, there's not much in here to really talk about, aside from the repeating message from the responders saying that there's an army of Scorched coming this way, and that they need as much help as possible. Well, there's the holotape that's on the repeat, and the old man in here that's wanting to die. Talk about bleak, man. Anyway, the real reason we came this way is for some research that was being done on the Scorched. Apparently what they have is a disease that, while it is incurable, it is preventable with something called the inoculation. So that's what the next step in our mission is going to be. In the meantime though, I started an event called Collision Course. Essentially, there was a cargo drone spotted heading this way, and now I need to defend the landing zone while it makes its way here. It wasn't a hard task, just a lot of Scorched and a limited magazine size. But eventually the drone landed and we got some loot from it. The big prize from all this though was the recipe I learned to make Psycho. Since there's only a handful of reliable ways to make caps fast in this challenge, it's nice to know I can sell chems to make some money quick. Eventually, I finally made my way back to Flatwoods with a goal in mind. I can't afford anything at the vendors right now, and it's upsetting to say the least. I don't have a steady cash flow at the moment, and I don't have anything that's of much worth. I do, however, have a plan. If I can make it to Camp McClintock, I can pick up a large water purifier plant. See where I'm going with this? Since purified water passively collects in these, having 2 or 3 in my camp will generate quite a few every time I come back home. I've sold hundreds of purified water at a time, all of them at 8 caps apiece. If I can get my get-rich-quick scheme back up and running, we'll never have to worry about caps again. Now, there is one problem with this plan though. These purifiers need power to run and collect water, which is fine, it's just we don't have a way to power them at the current moment. Don't worry, I have a plan for this as well. Welcome to Poseidon Energy. By the way, look who decided to show up again. Gramps is back, and now I have the charisma to convince him to come to camp with me. Anyway, once I finished up with Gramps, I made my way into Poseidon Energy and started working on completing the event. Essentially, this power plant has kind of fallen into ruin and needs repairs made to it before it can be turned back on to produce power again. The reason I'm doing this quest now is because I need a generator to run the water purifiers, and completing this event is one of the ways I can get my hands on the plans for new generators. This plant was crawling with Scorched everywhere, and while they aren't hard to kill, there's just so many of them. That, mixed with the ticking clock, can definitely get a bit stressful. The good thing is though, I've got an hour to finish repairs and get the plant turned back on. Eventually, I was able to fully repair all systems of the plant and get it turned back on, and while I didn't get the reward that I wanted, I got exactly what I needed. For right now, this large generator is going to work just fine for us to get things running and right and proper. And with all that done, I think that's where I'm going to leave this episode, guys. We made a good bit of progress again, and we were able to get a good jump on the main story of the game. Next time, we'll work on getting ourselves a proper base setup, a good money flow, and hopefully start getting our hands on some better weapons. This pipe rifle is working for now, but it's definitely falling off as we gain more levels. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.